Hello everyone. So, I'm not sure if I sound okay or if I sound fine. I've been kind of battling with allergies and stuff like that, but if I sound weird or if I cough during this video, it's more or less just me having allergies. But I think you've seen the title and you're looking at this and you're kind of wondering, what the heck is this game? Well, I'm going to tell you about it and I'm going to give you my own personal opinion on it, so let's get into the video. So, this game is called Dead Dozon. Dead Dozon is a very interesting kind of game. Now, it has various aspects of certain things, and it does tend to lean towards first-person shooters. It's a first-person shooter game that's mainly just a PvP style of zombie infection, something like that. Pretty much. Now, a couple notes before I continue. I played this during a free weekend, so this is mainly just a first impression, not really a full-on review. This is just my first impressions, essentially, and stuff like that. This is also my opinion, so please take most of what I say with a grain of salt. But let's get into how I actually found out or realized about this game. I basically saw a trailer for it online, and I'm like, this actually looks rather interesting. Now, the game itself does have some positives and negatives. We're going to focus, I guess, on the positives first, because there are a couple of interesting ones of notes. The first positive that I have here is the game looks pretty. Kind of. It looks pretty to a point, but it mainly looks pretty in the sense that it looks like it's an updated version of the Source engine for some reason. For whatever reason, I initially thought of like a Source 2 type of engine, where it's like the Source engine, but if it was updated for like this year or something like that. And it does look nice, but again, it's not anything really to write home about. There's a lot of games that look nice out there, and graphics aren't really a big thing that I measure from a day-to-day, whatever. Number 2, it's fun to play, kinda. It's fun to play when things can work and when things can happen. I'll get more to that into the negative, but it is, when you get down to it, it is actually kind of fun to play. With the new mode added, new mode, not modes, a mode that I haven't played because no one else wants to freaking play it, I have seen that this game is rather fun? Question mark. The controls are fine, standard controls for FPS, mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it establishes like gamepad controls, but I think it does, but that doesn't matter. For me personally, it seems to run fine. I have a very more high-end kind of computer with GTX 1060s and stuff like that. Some of you might scoff at me, but you know, it's a laptop, so it's not too powerful, but it's more powerful than most. And it's pretty okay when it runs. I've never really had any lag or crashes, so that's fine. The negatives here. Oh boy, some of these negatives. The big one being that it doesn't seem to have any personality outside of just being generic and on its own merits, which is fine, and a lot of things don't necessarily have to have certain personality, but this one seems to be... It seems to be trying to do and be something serious, but somehow failing, which is weird. The game doesn't seem to have much outside of any music, or it's very quiet. And it doesn't really have any defining personality things. So I would say, yes, definitely, this is the reason why I bought this game. And I really don't think that it needs much to get a personality, but it just doesn't seem to have one. Number 2 here, and for the negatives, is the weapons feel kind of weak. Now, I get that the monsters have 200 HP, but it doesn't feel like they're hitty and they're punchy, that they're doing damage to them. Yes, there are certain things like barbed wire and certain things like that that kind of liven up gameplay, but it mainly just comes down to shoot anything until it dies. And if you die, you come back as these demon creatures, which is fine, because a lot of other games tend to do that as well, but this one just, it's not, really isn't. I just, you know, Number 3 here, looks like it was created with the default FPS wizard. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, other than the fact that the whole thing, again, looks pretty, but it looks like it was created using various things of an engine that they just bought, and not something that they created, which I'm not sure if they did either, nor do I really care, but it looks like it was just created with the most basic essentials and then pushed out onto this platform to get some money. Now, I'm not sure if these guys are very passionate or can take constructive criticism, but none of this is meant to be taken too seriously. This is just a game that I've played for a very limited amount of time, but I did have fun with it, so I'll give you that. But it just looks like it was created not with very little aspects of, like, individuality and, like, why I should play this, which might turn some people off. It does have some aspects comparable to other games of similar genres, but on a much smaller budget. And this can be a positive or a negative. I put it in the negatives category for the sheer reason that the saying is, jack of all trades, master of none. And what I mean by this is that it has a lot of balls in the air, but it does drop a few to just have like 2 or 3 that does kind of well. When the game works, it works really well to a point, but it doesn't feel like it kind of does things. And I know that sounds like a weird sentence, but it's comparable to other games in the sense that it has certain gameplay elements of other games. For example, in Contagion, when you die, you can come back as a zombie. Now, you don't spawn right back, and like there's no biting mechanic of it, but more or less, if you die, you can come back as one of those undead things, and essentially can try to kill all the remaining humans. But other than that, nothing else, really. It just doesn't feel like the game is worthy of what the price tag is. No, I kind of gave my opinion away, but let's keep going. The next complaint, the next negative here, not really complaint, but the next negative here is very few people are playing. In the weekend that I played this game, there was no service, no one was playing this. I actually had to start out my own escape game and wait for other people to come in order to start actually playing the escape mode. But we only got so far and didn't record any of it. But it just seems to be boring for the most part, because you just go to a place and do things, and then go to another place and do more things, and it doesn't seem to have an objective. Whereas in some of the other games, like Contagion again, it actually does seem to have an objective, and it does actually tell you where the heck you're supposed to be going. Because the maps are a lot more open, it does actually, like, you can pull out your phone and see, hey, what the heck am I supposed to be doing here? Whereas in this game, there is nothing to suggest what the heck you're supposed to be doing at all. Now, again, with the very few people playing it, it just doesn't seem to me that there's enough of an audience to sustain this game through its development, because very few people create and get servers and stuff like that. There are a few samey looking, there are only of the handful of levels, all of them seem to have the sameness of certain design elements, but all around, the design of most of the maps, not all of them, most of them aren't necessarily the best. With the exception being the bunker map, a map that I did actually play on, and it was actually fun to play on that one, because it was actually a lot more bigger than most of the other maps combined. Whereas with most of the other maps on this, they are very small maps, very few places to hide. This game works the best as a hide-and-seek type of game, with a big sprawling map and multiple different levels and angles of approaching to different aspects. And the only one that seems to have been competently designed for the game mode of the PvP is the bunker map, oddly enough. I would definitely recommend that they would go ahead with a bigger maps similar to the bunker map,
but having more aspects of defenses and stuff. Because the only other map that I really played on was just a map that was big-ish, but very small, and a lot of the things were really just mishmashes of other stuff. It just didn't seem to be good, for the most part. At least for everything except the bunker, really. None of them really stood out except the bunker, because the bunker was the only one that really had seemed to have a lot of care put into it. That's just my opinion. And of course, going off of the servers earlier, there are no dedicated servers. Now, I know that dedicated servers are very expensive and hard to run, but I would at least have at least one server that people can go on, rather than just having a bunch of man-made servers, a bunch of servers that other people have to do. And while dedicated servers are a big thing in a lot of multiplayer games, this one doesn't necessarily need it, but I would just say that there needs to be more people playing it to definitely have more people participating. It just really, just no dedicated servers. And finally, another big complaint is when I try to Alt-Tab out of it as it's loading, this is personally for me. When I go to close the window, it just opens it back up. When I want to exit the game, and it's loading because there's not enough people in the server, and it hasn't loaded me in or whatever, I literally have to manually restart my computer, and that can get annoying if someone crashes or you're just waiting a really long time and you just want to exit the game. So it's just not a good feature. Okay, all in all, what's my conclusion? Well, the conclusion is the game needs work, 100%. The game definitely needs some work, more than it already has. Now, not to say that everything that I listed here was bad, because there was actually a few positives that I really did like. I did have fun with the game when I was playing the game with enough people, and that's the big downfall of the game. It's not big enough for everyone, because no one is playing it, so getting a large group together like that takes some time, but when you do get that large group together, it is actually kind of fun. Now, the game itself is samey, but it does look very nice, and that can carry a game, but I really don't understand a lot of the things. There are weapons in the game, and those game weapons do act nicely, but again, they don't feel punchy or cathartic, like in other games of similar genres, like in Killing Floor 2, where the weapons actually feel like weapons. There's also no melee, which is something that I really think they should be doing. Because the guys can do melee, but the people can't, they don't have a knife, they can't hit them with the gun or something like that, because if you're out of ammo, you're kind of screwed. But I would definitely say that the only reason that I really was interested in this game was because of the one trailer that I saw. And it looked nice when they had enough people together. And I did get that experience, but I needed to wait a couple days before I actually got that experience. All in all, would I recommend this game to other people? I find it very difficult to do so. And I don't think that people should be, I think that people maybe can get this game if they really, really want to, but to me, it's personally not fun. To the point of being almost boring at certain points. Because you can't play the game, because there's not a lot of people playing the actual game. If people started to play the game and it started to actually gain traction, maybe then it would be worth the price. But at $15, American money, I really can't recommend this game. At the time of recording this, the sale for it being $7.49, is coming to a close. And by the time this video comes out, it's probably going to be over, because this video is going to come out in a couple weeks. But at the time of recording this, there was a sale, which is why I got it for free. But all in all, I think
this is just not good. This game is not as good as I think it can be, but, or actually, it's not as good as I think it should have been, but I do see that they are working on it, so final conclusion is this. To the devs, continue to work on the game, and don't let me stop you. If you are really passionate and you really want this game to succeed, go right ahead and do it. I'm not going to stop you at all. This is just trying to be as constructive as possible so you realize some of the things you work on in order to actually make this game popular. To the players, if you 100% support this idea and like the positives and have like some friends who really kind of want to play this game, sure, go ahead and do it. I'm not going to say no, but to most of the audience, this isn't going to be that fun. It's not going to be really as fun as you might think. But I might still want to keep an eye on this, at least for the time being. Come back in maybe a year and see where it's come to. And hopefully, if they work on the game and they justify that $15 price tag, I may actually recommend the game. But as of now, at the time of this recording, I can't recommend this game to the majority of the people who watch this video, I guess. Anyway, guys, that's just my personal opinion. If you have your own personal opinion, please leave it down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this review of Dead Dozon. Hope you all have a lovely day. Peace out.